Hi guys, how are you doing? So today I wanted to talk about salary. I think salary is very important to discuss because I've down the line have learned what exactly I needed to talk about. So in other words, when you are being told by a recruiter what is your salary expectations, you don't want to shoot yourself in the leg and immediately tell them, hey, this is my number, because even though you do know the salary range, you can still be shooting yourself on the foot. So you want to try to say you're open. Also, one technique that I always say is, what are you guys offering right now? What is your salary range? So when that happens, when they're able to say that, uh, most recruiters that I talk to, they always will tell me, well, I can give that, or I really need to know where you want to, earn in this role. And so the key point here is you want to make sure that you are very careful on negotiating, right? So it's all about negotiating. So what I tend to do is I throw it back to the recruiter and I say, well, uh, when they say, well, I want to know your salary because that way I can know where you want to be at. I like to throw it at them and say, hey, well, could you tell me what the position is paying, or give me at least the range, right, or the minimum. And so then that gives them the opportunity to say, well, let me let me see what I can do, or let me get back with you on that. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to create a conversation where you don't understand um, what you're getting yourself into, right? Because again, you can be shooting yourself on the leg by removing your candidacy from the running for that particular role because you just stated an incorrect salary. You could be stating something over the range or under the range, right? So you can get this, rejected either or. So again, that's just my strategy that has worked for me. It's not to mean that it might not work for you, but again, I would recommend you do that because it's going to be crucial for you to understand that, you know, they're just, when recruiters call you, they're trying to screen out to make sure that you meet all the requirements that they're looking for, or you know for the most part, most of them. And then they also will base that rejection on the salary. So one trick that I always use is I always ask them, so what are you offering now? If they cannot for some reason give you the salary range, then that's fine. But you want to ask, because I sometimes will let them know, can I please know at least the minimum? And so then, for the most part, the recruiters that I've spoken to do come back to me and say, hey, well, this is the minimum. So most of them are courteous enough to tell me they can share it. Now, there's some jobs that hiring managers or HR is requiring for the roles not to be um, salary not to be given. There, that's just the choice of theirs, and it's not really like every company functions or does recruiting, the hiring differently. Not all companies do everything the same, right? So you have to keep that in mind. I know a lot of you guys stress about, well, why this, why that, and why didn't do this, and why didn't do that. If this other company's doing this, why isn't this company doing that? Remember, not every company is going to hire the same, right? Every company has the freedom to hire people the way that they want to hire. Yes, there's laws There are certain actually, like for example, California, right? You have to mention the pay, right? And it's against the law if you do not post the salary on the pay range on the job description. So I like that actually, and I'll always advocate for the salary to be posted on the job description because, to be honest with you, why, if a candidate is not wanting that pay and they're applying to a job that's going to be either under or over their under their salary range, right? I mean, if it's over, right, who doesn't want it in that case? But I just I just feel like you should know the salary range because I mean I put myself in the candidate's shoes, and I think it's not bad, to know that. But again, every company chooses to do that up to their leisure, up to how they want to, work that out. But keep in mind that they don't have to give it, and Texas is not a state that we have to provide it, right? It's not there yet, but I do know that there's states that we have to have a posted. So those are things that as recruiters we have to make sure that we're aware about. Those kind of laws. There's always like the diversity, equity, and inclusion, or equity, diversity, and inclusion. That we need to consider as well. That's another law, and then there's other law. So we at least have to know all the basics, right, of the law, so we will not, you know, get involved in any type of, a case or being sued, right? So recruiters do take a big role in making sure that we are properly vetting candidates, that we are not going to get mixed up, or our company, right, that we're working for. I mean, when I worked for whatever company I worked for, I always wanted to give the best performance. So with that being said, I delivered. I didn't want the company to get in trouble because I mean, if the company's getting in trouble, then obviously I'm doing something wrong, right? So you don't want to put the company in that position. So you guys as candidates have to understand that, that's how the mentality of talent acquisition, recruiters, HR, and companies, and are thinking, their mindset, their thought process. Again, my trick of the salary negotiation, I always negotiate. You always want to negotiate. Now, if you're get to the point where it's like, hey, I need a job, and you really are not too much caring about the salary because you just really need to work. And I think everyone now in 2025 is needing a job, right? It doesn't even matter like what's the pay or anything like that. It's like I just need to work. So I get and I understand everything. I get it, what's going on with that, but understand that there's a way to that everyone has to go through this process. It's not just we have to treat at least all the candidates the same. So not to be biased to other candidates. So I don't know, and I think there's been instances where I've heard or I've seen on LinkedIn where certain salary ranges have been given to certain candidates, and candidates feel like, hey, that was being biased. Now you can't do that because that's against the law. Now that person who did that can get in trouble if there's proof, right, of that. But for the most part, don't waste your time. If a company's doing that to you, I will not waste my time. If they're showing you that, I will move on to the next. I mean, there's just so many companies out there that can benefit with to have you, right? So I just wanted to share the salary and how I do the trick of making sure that I turn it back the question on them, and they always get shocked when I say that. They're always like, "Wow, well, so." Uh, they're always surprised that I'm like trying to negotiate with them. Um, the negotiating begins right when you are asked that question, or as soon as you get that call to set up that phone screen, and I have had gotten or I had a lot of calls that we didn't even talk about the salary. I was like, what is going on? So there's those other red flags that you know you have to be aware of. Maybe they're a new recruiter, maybe they don't even know. But if they don't ask for the salary, you want to make sure you are asking for what is the salary range, because that's has happened to me, and I'm like, and then later down the line, only to find out that they are not offering what I'm even looking for, sometimes, if I have to go low, I'll be open. I won't be too picky. If I need a job, right? So I would expect you to do that the same, right? Because right now, again, I keep mentioning this: the job market is not where we need it to be, right? So we're not gonna find we're not going to check all the boxes, right? You have to, right, pay bills, right? So you have to just take it as you can. But um, so uh, salary is a huge part on you negotiating, and I always hear candidates getting very timid when I talk to them about the salary. They're always confused. They never know what they're wanting, right? And that's not good, because it's like you're not even trying to. It seems to me like when I get those candidates, to me it comes across as if they were to talk. See, you have to understand that when I'm talking to a candidate and I pass them over to the hiring manager, and these candidates are coming across as flighty, that they don't even know what they want or what they're doing here in the interview process, and they don't know how to handle these type of questions, or even ask questions. That's not good, because we don't want, put yourself on the company's side and perspective. You want to make sure that you, as the company, you're gonna hire someone who is invested in the company, who actually is excited, or who is wanting to know more information, who's not afraid to ask questions. um you know and those are red flags that I will look at. And when I do talk to candidates, I always want to ask them, is there a reason why uh, you're thinking about this, or you're doubting this? Do you want to work here? So most of the time, it's just honestly, we're not a robot. We're humans, and I understand. I'm more of a empathetic with them, and I try to understand them and let them know what the importance is. At the end of the day, my goal is to retain the candidates, not to have them leave us, right? Because retention is my number one key. And I guess that's another topic that I'll talk about another day. But my always end goal is to retain that candidate. So there's another topic that we as recruiters are having to take on, right? We have to make sure that we're investing our time, the company's finances, right? The hiring managers, is invested in a great quality candidate, so that way they can feel like you're hiring caliber candidates. So yeah, there's a lot of things that recruiters, as I'm speaking to y'all, that it's like, wow, I didn't understand that, or you guys just probably thought that we would pick up the phone or email people all day and ask them if they want to interview, and that's really all. But honestly, we do so much more. There's the negotiation of the salary with the hiring manager, and we do the offer. I mean, there's so much onboardings, submitting for the drug test, the backgrounds, and that's another topic for another day. Making sure we follow the equity and the diversity and inclusion. So again, there's just so much. And then on top of that, we have to make sure that we do not fracture any type of laws, or we do not discriminate. So again, next time you think about a recruiter, next time you think about, why haven't they called me back? And then they have a lot of requisitions to follow on. Think about that they are doing their best. I've had recruiters not reach out to me. And I always get along, with people. I mean, that's just who I always been. I like to, I'm really personable. But if a recruiter doesn't call me, if a hiring manager doesn't call me, that lets me know. I don't reach out. The whole thing about sending that I sent the thank you email, but I won't send, and that's another topic. Send the thank you email, but if they don't respond to that thank you email, they don't send you that email personally telling you thank you. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know more. But anyway, move on. Just move on. Stop staying stuck on the same why this, why that, and I gave them my time. Do you know how many people they have to interview? How many people these hiring managers have to interview too? So understand that. And then sometimes they just go with an internal candidate. So that's another topic. So, but for another day. But again, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of, different, balls that recruiters and HR have to juggle. Okay, so don't take it personal. But please subscribe. Please send this to whoever might need this information. This is just my knowledge and my personal experience. So from my work experience and what I have gone through. So anyway, please subscribe, and then I will follow up with another video. You have a good one. Thanks.